إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولما ورد ماء مدين وجد عليه أمة من الناس يسقون ووجد من دونهم امرأتين تذودان قال ما خطبكما قالتا لا نسقي حتى يصدر الرعاء وأبونا شيخ كبير وقال النبي صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم الدين النصيحة قلنا لمن قال لله ولكتابه ولرسوله ولأئمة المسلمين وعامتهم أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Honorable ulama ikram, respected brothers and elders, amongst the many favors that Allah Rabbul Izzat had favored and endowed Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam with, amongst those favors one was Allah had favored him with concise speech. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself says, Utitu jawami al-kalim. The words of Nabi alayhi salam were very concise, yet very comprehensive and voluminous. So the words were very few, yet voluminous in its meaning. And the hadith that I have quoted is a manifestation of the statement of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Many a times we are asked by non-Muslims or people that are not acquainted with Islam, tell me something about your deen. In a nutshell, in 2 minutes you met the man, he says, all right, introduce Islam. So we mumbling and we don't know what to say, where to start, where to end. In 2 words, in a nutshell, the Nabi of Allah defines Islam. Sahaba asked the Nabi of Allah, what is Islam? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, to make it and to condense it, ad-deenu an-nasiha. Deen in essence means desiring good. What is deen? What is the definition? The simplified explanation of deen, desiring good. Sahaba then went to ask, desiring good for who, O Nabi of Allah? Could you perhaps elucidate, elaborate? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Lillahi wa li rasulihi wa li kitabihi wa li a'immatil muslimina wa ammatihim. To desire good for Allah, to desire good for the scriptures of Allah, to desire good for the apostles of Allah, to desire good for the leaders of the Muslim Ummah and the general masses. This in essence summarizes deen. I want to speak on the last aspect, and that is desiring good for the general masses. This is also a fundamental ingredient of our iman. It is also an important component of our faith, that we become the benefactors of society. Jarir ibn Abdullah Bajali radiyallahu anhu, Imam Nawawi rahimahumullah, a great author of the 6th century, has written in the commentary of Muslim Sharif in the first volume, he makes mention of one incident of Hazrat Jarir radiyallahu anhu, that once he came to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Sahaba used to come and they used to pledge their allegiance. One was the general pledge that Sahaba would come and make, including the males and the females. Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu idha ja'aka al-mu'minatu yubayi'naka ala an la yushrikna billahi shay'a. O Nabi of Allah, when the women come to you pledging that they will never ascribe partners with Allah, وَلَا يَسْرِقْنَا, they will never commit theft, وَلَا يَزْنِينَ, they will never commit adultery, وَلَا يَقْتُلْنَا أَوْلَادَهُنَّ, and they will never kill their children, وَلَا يَعْصِينَكَ فِي مَعْرُوفٍ, and they will never disobey you in any matter, then accept their pledge and seek forgiveness on their behalf. So one was a general pledge that was taken from Sahaba, but there were some independent situations where certain Sahaba would come, some isolated situations, and they would, on a personal note between him and the Nabi of Allah, they would make and they would pledge certain noble deeds. So Jarir ibn Abdullah Bajali radiyallahu anhu came to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and after having a discussion with Nabi alayhi salam, he left the gathering and he said, O Nabi of Allah, I make you my witness, lifelong I will desire good for the Muslims. Wherever I go, I will help a Muslim. I will make life easy for whoever I meet. Wherever I find how I can help, remove a difficulty, make life easy for someone, inshallah I will do this. So the incident I was making mention of, once he sent one of his slaves to go and purchase a horse. The slave took the money and he went to the shop, and he looked at a particular horse. He decided, met the owner, and the seller negotiated the price, and finally they settled that he will be purchasing the horse for 300 dirhams. He gave the money, took the horse, and he came home. When Jarir radiallahu anhu looked at the horse, he said, Subhanallah, this is a beautiful horse. I think the owner has underpriced this horse. Let's go back to the man. So they go back to the owner. Go back to the seller. And Hazrat Jarir radiallahu anhu then introduces himself, the servant that came to purchase the horse. He's my servant. I had deputed him and I had sent him. I think you have undercharged me. And what would you say if I add on another 100 dirhams? Subhanallah. So in all human likelihood, who would decline? He says, well, if you want to add on, Jazakallah, by all means. He says, and if I say from 4, let's make it 500. Subhanallah. And if I say, let's make it 600, 700, 800. Finally, he says, yeah, I think you deserve 800. Allahu Akbar. I think you deserve 800. He gives the man 800 dirhams and he walks out. People meet him, congratulate him. MashaAllah, you bought a new conveyance. What did you pay for it? I paid 800. Really, you're a fool, man. I could get you the same animal for 300. So he says, no, I also could get it for 300. But I pledged to the Nabi of Allah, I will desire good for every Muslim. And at this time, being good to this Muslim was to give him a better amount than what he had actually asked for. Wallah, brothers, this perhaps might be impossible or very difficult for us. Today, even if this much can come, that if a man walks into my shop, of course I want to make maximum profit out of him. Ask him what he wants. Like someone told me recently this happened. I was so impressed. He says, Maulana, I went to a hardware shop. I needed to buy some wood. We were making some cupboards. So I selected a wood that was relatively expensive. The owner of the shop said, what do you want to make? I said, I'm trying to make some cupboards. He says, no, don't waste your money buying expensive wood. Buy this one. This is cheaper. This would suffice for your job. Wallah, when that honesty will come out in the ummah, where Sahaba Ikram asked Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, O Nabi of Allah, which is the noblest of actions? Which action constitutes the maximum benefit and earns the greatest reward in the eyes of Allah? Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Sururun tudkhiluhu ala muslimin. The joy that you can bring to the heart of a Muslim. There can be no greater joy and no greater act than you bringing joy to the heart of a believer. Then the Nabi of Allah explains, Takshifu anhu kurbatan. Either you remove a calamity from his way, taqdi anhu daynan, or you settle a debt on his behalf. Brothers, so many of us here, Allah has given us wealth. For us to settle the debt of one man, it will not infringe on our necessities. Perhaps the maximum it will mean, I will have to make some adjustment in one vacation, and one man can enjoy a house of his own. Someone in my own family, in my own relatives, Allah has given me that money. If I can go and say, bhai, how long are you going to budget and pay 1,000 rand a month? Yeah, take it. How much is it? 50,000. Have it, no problem. Make dua, and that's the end of it. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, either you remove a calamity, or you settle a debt on his behalf, or tatrudu anhu ju'an, or you remove hunger from his path. And then the Nabi of Allah said, I would prefer walking with my brother to satisfy his need than to sit for 1 month in i'tikaf in Masjid an-Nabawi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And that man who walks with his brother to satisfy his need, to make things easy for him. What is the dua that has been taught to us when we see a Muslim happy? Today, unfortunately, we say, why are you so happy? What happened to you? Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not teach us that. Adhakallahu sinnak. My brother, you looking happy, may Allah perpetually keep you happy. Subhanallah. Allah forgive. Today hypocrisy has crept into the ummah so much. Hypocrisy and double standards has crept into the ummah so much that we have been sent as the benefactors of society. We cannot desire good, but Allah forgive, we have dropped even lower than that. We cannot even see the good of the next man. Never mind desire good and make good available. And must I even say one step further, brothers, when someone else speaks good of my brother, we don't even have that ability that we can hear the good of the next man. That is how low we have fallen. When the Muhajirin told Nabi alayhi salam, O Nabi of Allah, the Ansar have excelled us, they comforted us, they gave us their homes, they did everything. Nabi alayhi salam says, no, as long as you make dua for them and praise them, you will enjoy the same reward for the good that they do. The Nabi of Allah has given us a formula of enjoying the good of the entire Muslim world. My brother, mashallah, that man, my hat off for him, Allah has given him wealth. So many people are benefiting from his wealth. But on the contrary, we cannot give and we cannot see others give. Take one, make mention of another incident in Muslim Sharif. Hazrat Abdullah bin Jafar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the element of desiring good. It is before the battle of Jamal, he calls his son. And he tells his son, oh my son, tomorrow your father will be participating in the battle. By the looks of it, these are the last moments of your father. You know, the greatest worry that's burdening me is my debts. And I leave you in charge to wind up my estate and settle my debts. The father then passes away. The hadith is very lengthy. The point I want to deduce, I come to that focus. So anyway, the father passes away, he arranges in the burial, and then he starts making the calculations. فَوَجَدْتُهُ أَلْفَيْ أَلْفٍ وَمِئَتَيْ أَلْفٍ. He says, after I did the calculations, I found that my father was owing 2,200,000 dirhams. My father went in the battle, he passed away, he entrusted me with this, this was the burden on me. Now definitely that's a colossal task, that's a great figure. 2,200,000 dirhams. But then he goes on to elaborate and explain the reason why his father was indebted. Was his father just, abusing the money of others, just going around borrowing and not paying? I quote the words of Muslim Sharif, وَإِنَّمَا كَانَ دَيْنُهُ الَّذِي كَانَ عَلَيْهِ أَنَّ الرَّجُلْ كَانَ يَأْتِيهِ بِالْمَالِ فَيَسْتَوْدِعُهُ إِيَّاهُ فَيَقُولُ لَا وَلَكِنْ هُوَ السَّلَفٌ إِنَّمَا أَخْشَى عَلَيْهِ الضَّيْعَةِ. The reason why my father became indebted was